Real lives, real people, the non-identity. Good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching or listening to this, and welcome to another episode of the Non-Identity podcast. Today we're joined by an expert barber, an author, an entrepreneur and business consultant who coaches hair and beauty experts as well as entrepreneurs in ways to help maximize money-making potentials both on and offline. It's Arthur Lyle. Hi, Arthur. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
So as we could tell from the intro, you're a very busy man. So we're going to a bit of everything that you do. But before we do that, can you please tell us where you was born and where did you grow up?
Yeah. I'm busy, isn't always busy. So you want to make sure my goal is always to be more productive, right? But I'm born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska, right here in the middle of the map. Yeah, whereas we get all four seasons, summer, winter, and cold. Okay. And I'm a fly baby. I don't really like the cold, but it's definitely cold.
um, as we said, you got into being a barber, or what we call in England a hairdresser. How did you get into that and why?
You know what? It's an interesting question. I actually got in the industry of cutting hair by two bad. Have you ever had a bad haircut? You ever had a bad
Yeah,
haircut?
once we got bald down.
Well, I had two in one day. All right. And I was when I was young, I was walking down the street and got two bad haircuts in the same day. And I was devastated as a young kid. I was like, man, oh my God. And I just really was passionate about my hair. And after that second bad haircut that same day, I decided and vowed that no one else was going to touch my hair, mess up my appearance. And I started cutting my little brothers and sisters, not sisters, but my little brothers and nieces and nephews and cousins and friends, and then high school friends, and then college friends, and then friends and friends. And then eventually I started to get paid for it because it became somewhat of a skill. So I decided to go to barber school and make it a profession.
And what's barber school like? Is it just turning up and cutting hair, or is there a lot of work that goes into barber school?
You know what? Actually, barber school is a college. It's a trade school. And believe it or not, yes, you learn a lot about cutting hair, but you really learn a lot about anatomy and learning about the skin and health and all of those things. So for me, it was great because you also learn the psychology of people, right? And learning about the psychology of people, if you're going to cut hair, you got to be able to talk to people. You got to be able to understand like when they want to talk, when they don't want to talk. So all of those components, yeah, you learn in barber school. And then the goal is to actually start mastering those things because really, not only cutting hair, you also got to learn how to master communication. And that's kind of what I do now is I leverage that because, that communication is also taking me through other opportunities in business and maybe become an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and so you're also an entrepreneur and business consultant. What is an entrepreneur and business consultant?
So yeah, as an entrepreneur, I'm an author. I'm an author of three books, and so I write, and I also I consult other people that have that are stuck, struggling, and I help them shift their struggles into success, right? By allowing some their systematic skill sets. And simply just by mastering what you already good at. If you're good at something, I always tell people you can master it and productize it and make money with it, right? What I mean by productize is taking your service or whatever business or your information that you have and put it into a product like a coaching product, a book, or some sort like that, or an ebook, and make money to a group of people by serving them at a higher level.
And what difficulties do you find being an entrepreneur?
Oh man, you know what the difficulties I find as an entrepreneur is that well, I put it to you like this. It's kind of like if you I used to work at McDonald's when I was in high school, okay? And I remember that after school, I would go to McDonald's and I had a time that I had to be there, right? And whatever that time was, that whether it was my shift was 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. or 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. or whatever my hours were, I had to be there at that time, on time, or else I wouldn't get paid, right? And that's how we are as employees, as regular people. You got to be there on time, or you're not going to get paid, and you have to do your whole shift, right? Well, but here's the cool thing, and how that transition to being an entrepreneur. If you don't show up, as an employee, if you don't show up, you're not going to have that job very long, right? You might get one or two, three or four different chances, however many your job allows, and then you're fired, right? Well, as an entrepreneur, you don't have that person or that boss telling you you have to be here at 4 p.m. to 11, and you only got three times before you're fired, or however that works. It's yourself. You're your own boss, and you have to set those rules. Now, the biggest mistake most people make as entrepreneurs, they get in the industry and try to become an entrepreneur. Really, they're what I would call them entrepreneurs. They want to be an entrepreneur, right? And they don't set rules for themselves. So they end up having to fire themselves, right? Because they say, hey, look, I'm an entrepreneur. I do what I want. I come when I leave. I leave when I want. I come when I want to come. I make money when I make money. But that's not a sustainable business. That's not an entrepreneur. I call those entrepreneurs. So that's the biggest and hardest challenge, is being accountable to yourself and your business, and having that type of discipline.
And you also help coach people how
Mhm.
to run businesses and be an entrepreneur. Which one do you find more harder? Because if you're coaching someone and things go wrong, they're going to put the blame on you because, hang on, you're meant to be coaching me. But if you're running your own business, you're responsible for yourself. So is there more pressure on being a coach as well?
Well, that's a great question. Well, actually, it's kind of the opposite, right? Because a business is serving people, right? Anyone is in business for themselves, they're not in business at all, right? You think about it, any type of business, you're literally helping other people, you're helping them fulfill a problem. The bigger the problem, the bigger the business, right? If there is no problem that you solve, there is no business. So what I do as a consultant, and I help people and coach people, I find people that are looking for me, right? I'm not looking for, I'm looking for people that I can help solve what their problem is, right? Here's the thing. I'm not everybody's solution. In fact, I'm no one's solution. I'm just the bridge that can help you get over, so you can have a more pleasure, so you can be from Pain Island to Pleasure Island. That's my goal as a coach. I'm here to help you see what's in the frame when you're in the picture.
What three tips would you give to someone who's wanting to set up a business?
Three tips to start wanting to start a business. That's the first three things that I would say for anyone that's interested in starting a business is, first and foremost, find a niche that a lot of people are already winning in. Secondly, most importantly, get a coach, a mentor, someone that's already walked the path that you're trying to do. You're trying to get into it. Don't go in there blindly. And the third thing is make it serve you at the highest level. And what that means is make sure, a lot of people get in business because it's their passion. Well, passion most of the time doesn't pay. When you want to get into business, a business is about profit. So you want to make sure you're profiting at the highest level, and it serves you and serve other people, and you're solving the biggest problem that people that want to pay for. So those are the three tips that I would say for a person who's looking to get into business or any type of entrepreneur world, right?
Yeah. So you help people with maximizing their business both online and offline. What's the difference between an online business and an offline business?
Great question, man. So I've ran a brick and mortar barbershop for about 12 years,
Wow,
right?
congratulations.
Thank you. And it's cool because statistically they say most businesses fail after the first 5 years, right? Um, so to be able to be in business for that long, you got to be doing something right, right? So um, and the thing that I've learned, and I've seen this, there's some similarities and some differences. Well, before I talk to you about the similarities, I'm gonna tell you about the differences, and what business is not. All right, business is not um doing a whole bunch of work just for fun, right? It's not that. It's not being open 80, 90 hours a week just to be house poor. That's not what it's for. What I mean by house poor, just barely getting by, right? And it's not those things. What business is for it's a place to serve people at a high level, right? It's a place for profit, right? And it's a place that you can invest, that you can leverage to build a lifestyle and a life for yourself, others, your family, and so on and so forth, right? That you can leave a legacy for your kids, right? Or
Yeah,
whomever, right? That's what business really is. And brick and mortar businesses allow that, because now you have, maybe potentially assets. You have a place for somebody to come, right? To go to work every day and all of those things, right? But you also have overhead. You also have utilities that you have to take care of. You also have all of these additional expenses, right? When you have a brick and mortar business, right? Now, When you have an online business, you don't have a lot of those things. You don't have as many expenses. You don't have an overhead, and you can sell more. You can sell more to many using a www, the World Wide Web, right? The good old internet. So now you basically take the cap off of your income, and as far as working locally, now you become globally, and that's the big difference between being able to leverage brick and mortar to click and order. And the difference is not only leveraging the internet, because you can leverage the internet with the brick and mortar as well, but I always tell people before you can go global, you gotta blow up local. So understanding both mechanics, and there are slight differences in both of them on how you use marketing and how you use selling techniques.
Touched early on, well, you're an author. How hard is it to write books that would appeal to everyone? Because we all interpret text differently. It's not like we're having a one-on-one conversation now, so you can adapt the way you speak to a level that I understand. How do you write so that everyone could understand what you're trying to get across?
Well, as an author, my goal is not to write to everyone.
Okay.
Okay. Because I feel what I believe that if I write to everyone, I'm writing to no one, right? So my goal as an author is to hone in on a target type of person that wants to hear the message that I want to speak about. In fact, even better than that, like I want to write a book that solves a problem to the person that I can help with, that with the information that I have, right? So I'm not here to please everybody. There's only a small group of people in this world that is here exactly for me, that's here exactly for you, or exactly for whatever the author is that's wanting to write their next book, right? They want to hear your story. And maybe because if you can help them through your story, then that's the story you tell, right? Now, the people that want to read your book, they're going to read your book. The people that don't, then they won't, right? The goal is not to convince them to read your book. The goal is to persuade them by putting your message out in front of the people that want to hear what you have to say.
What's your process for writing? Do you lock yourself away for a couple of hours or a couple of days and write all in one go, or do you write a little bit and go back to it? How do you go about writing a book?
Yeah. So yeah, I set up parameters, and I set up time frames, and I give myself goals, right? And so I believe that if once you have goals, I believe that really like 80% of your results are going to come from 20% of your effort. So if you got 20% efforts of like setting the proper goals and setting the right boundaries of when you're going to write, that gives you the complete product, right? So that was my goal, is always setting the standard. Like, hey, I'm going to write for this hour, or I'm going to whatever, however I'm going to, write my book. I'm going to set this time allowed it on my calendar, because I believe if it's not on your calendar, it's not real. So when you put it on your calendar, it makes it real. So you hone out everything out. You put your blinders on, you put your blinders on, and you only focus on the outcome that you're looking to have. And then for that hour, that 10 minutes, or that 5 minutes, whatever time you allow, you only focus on it. And you do that for a serious amount of time until your book or your project is complete.
Brilliant. And where can people find your books?
Yeah, my book on Amazon, or you can, I'm big on social media. So you can go to arthurlyleinspires.com or Instagram. Arthur_Lyle is where I hang out most.
Okay, and we'll chuck their links in the description below so people can get to you even quicker. You also work in the hair and beauty industry. What challenges are in that industry?
Yeah, so the challenges in the industry is and one of I think is the biggest challenge is communication. And when I say communication, is learning and understanding how to connect with people, right? And is instead of always doing things for your reasons, getting to know people and what are their reasons. And probably the biggest challenge most people deal with in that industry is that they only do things based on how they feel, you as a service provider, right? Versus finding out what your customers want to feel, setting the environment that makes that comfortable customers, feel welcome and wanted and feel confident, right? Because really, ultimately, in the hair industry, you're not selling a haircut, or you're not selling a color, or you're not selling, a hairstyle. You're selling a feeling. The feeling you're selling is confidence. So people want to be confident about themselves when they walk out to your business, and when they walk to their wedding, or their job interview, or their kids program, or whatever it is. They want to feel confident in where they're going, and that is your job as a service provider, is to make them feel like that.
Yeah, no, I did. That's so true. Like, yeah, you are a feeling experience. One last question, and this is a question I ask everyone. If you had 30 seconds with your 13-year-old self, what would you say?
I've had 30 seconds to my 13-year-old self. What I would say is build your life in the best way that it serves you at the highest level, that it serves God at the highest level, and serves people at the highest level. And that's in the only particular order I would say that is God is always first in my life, in my business, and everybody that I allow myself to come in my circle. Make sure that if it's not helping you or serving you, then it's pushing and pulling you away from what you desire. So always add or multiply people's lives and never divide or subtract. That's what I would tell my 13-year-old self. And everything else after that, I think it just falls in place.
Well, Arthur, thank you so much for your time. It's been brilliant speaking to you, and hopefully we can catch up again soon.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and it was a wonderful opportunity here to chat with you guys.